Hey, how's it going? Today we're going to be exploring London City Island, a brand new residential development on a small island. How cool is that? So let's go. I want to try out a new lens. Well, it's an old lens, but it's adapted in a new way that I haven't been able to shoot on my Nikon Z6 to date. I wanted to get onto that cool red bridge. I guess you have to go behind Canning Town Tube Station, DLR station, to get on it. But we're going to try to get across this DLR bridge to the other side and then walk on the footpath to get to the red bridge. I couldn't resist a little bit of bridge hyperlapse action because it's a cool bridge. Yeah, that's all there is to it. Ah, you're kidding me. This birdcage bridge over the DLR track is closed. Okay, we're gonna get back to go behind Canning Town to go onto the red bridge. What? This is ridiculously misleading. Well, anyway, this birdcage type of bridge does have a cool rap clip music, you know, or Jurassic Park vibe. Yeah, not gonna rap, definitely no. As I was able to park my car on the Morrison's car park that allows for 2 hours free of charge parking, and you don't even have to buy anything, well, I'm finding this a bit of a waste of a time, but I just thought that the other bridge will be open, or this way I'll be able to get on the red bridge. Anyway, a few extra steps always helps to hit you that 10,000 steps a day target. So all is good. Okay, so it appears that to go to the City Island from Canning Town, you have to go under the DLR station and yeah, you get out on the other side. Okay, I think this can work for our first photo. We're going to use the shift lens and try to shift to hopefully get the top of the buildings in the photo while not getting too much below the horizon. So let's do it. It's time to talk about my Frankenstein lens creation. How I got this lens. I first had a Venus Optics Laowa 15mm f4 and I thought it was alright, it wasn't great. Back about, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, and then I saw on Kickstarter Laowa announcing that they will be selling a 12mm f2.8, so I quickly jumped on the bandwagon and bought the F-mount version, because whatever camera system you have, buying the F-mount version, and back then it was only available I think in F-mount and Canon mount probably, buying the F-mount for Nikon was the best thing, because Nikon back then had the longest flange distance, so you could adapt that lens onto literally any system you would ever have. You could adapt it to Canon, Panasonic, whatever, basically, with cheap adapters. Because it's a lens that's manual, you can just buy a cheap metal plate adapter for £5–10 and you will get it going on any system. But then they decided to release, as a, I think, add-on to the Kickstarter campaign, a shift mechanism. They're calling it the Magic Shift Adapter, which basically converts the lens from 12mm times 1.5, so about 18mm, and it loses one stop. So the 2.8 becomes f4. But it enables the lens to move in a vertical plane, up and down, as well as if you turn it, you can move it left and right to making perfectly stitched panels, or just basically vertical shots where you're maintaining all the lines of the buildings perfectly straight. So I straight away got that. But back then, if I remember well, they were only offering the first version that they were selling. They were offering in EOS to Sony E mount, and you know, that wasn't a problem for me because I could adapt the F mount lens via a cheap F mount to EOS metal plate that it's here, and get the lens going, as back then I was shooting on a Sony mirrorless system. But for the past almost 2 years, well, since the Z6 was released, so a year and a half, I was exclusively shooting on the Z6s because they're just far better time-lapse cameras. And for a long time, there was no adapter for Sony E mount to a Z system, because the Z system, out of all the systems out there now, has the shortest flange distance. So there was this 2mm between Sony E mount and Z mount that if someone came up with an adapter, it would work. Everyone was at first thinking about getting electronic adapters so you can get any Sony lenses working on the Z mount, and now I think it's there. It's called the Tech Art, but it costs like 200 quid. What I needed is a cheap 2mm plate that will basically work with a manual lens where I don't need electronic adjustments. And just recently I found out there are eventually now manufacturers that do them. I found one on Amazon, it was £12. This is the silver plate that you see here, and now an E-mount lens fits onto my Nikon Z series, and it just works. So basically, to recap all this, F-mount lens, F to EOS metal plate adapter. This is the magic shift adapter that goes from EOS mount to Sony E mount, and the last bit here, the silver bit, is the Sony E mount into Nikon Z mount. Done! Lens monstrosity explained. Right, so now I've got my camera set up, I've leveled the horizon, but at 18mm, this is what I see. I see a lot of the river, the canal, Lee River, I think it is. But I don't see the top of the building, so it's not an ideal composition. At 12mm probably I would see them, but I would need to crop almost half the image to see the top of the buildings. And this is where the shift adapter comes in. You basically shift the lens up and you get to see the peaks of the buildings all the way up there at a quite a steep angle, as well as the horizon. Now just the bottom of the buildings are in the frame, and this is how I love to compose architectural shots. This is basically what normally a tilt shift lens does, but I'm not just a fan of using tilt because I rarely want everything in focus or just a selective line of focus. I'm not a fan of that effect, but what I do use extensively is shift mechanism, and this is exactly what it does. So I've done a little bit of sharpness testing. I had a look around in most corners that I could, at least in this composition, and it looks really sharp. I'm shooting at f8 because why would you be shooting at 2.8? You know it's not going to be as sharp as f8. And to be quite honest, now I'm actually thinking to put a heavy ND stop, maybe something like a 10 stop in front to freeze the water and give the clouds a little bit of smooth motion. So I decided to shoot a time-lapse, but as I don't like the weather, the clouds that much, instead of shooting a raw time-lapse, I decided to shoot an in-camera 4K time-lapse. I've noticed one small issue, that the square filters that I've got, if I put them perfectly in the middle, there's still a little bit of leak of light going inside, and it can bounce off the sort of any lettering or anything else, even though I sort of marked them black, off the lens, and the lens itself will be sort of visible in the photo. So I've put an alternative use for a lens skirt, which is a hood. So to prevent the light from above the lens, above the filter, to enter inside the filter and bounce off in reflections. And while I'm waiting here just for the time-lapse to finish, even though it's only a 6-minute one, I noticed that this bridge, it looks like it can actually go up and down in level. How cool is that? And the time-lapse has finished. So the benefit of shooting an in-body 4K time-lapse is that you can see the preview of the time-lapse straight away playing in real-time video. Let me show you. That looks pretty cool. I am shooting against the sun. The sun is behind the building, so the clouds, the white clouds, are pretty much a little bit overexposed, and I won't be able to bring it back in time lapse, as it's a H.264 4K. It's pretty much burned out. There's no highlight recovery there, and just the weather and, you know, today's clouds and stuff isn't warranting me the decision to shoot that in RAW, to process and just deal with all that faff. Right, I think this is it for today. I'm quite pleased with how the lens works. I've got it with myself. I forgot to take an FTZ adapter, so I could just compare it against a 12mm shifted up in post look. Never mind, that will happen some other time. I'll definitely be back at London City Island, because I just want to explore the area and see what other sort of cool architectural photos or potential time lapses I could get. But that won't be in this video. If you like this kind of videos, please subscribe, like and comment for more videos similar to this. A little bit of tech, a little bit of photography, architecture and time-lapse, as well as just exploring neighborhoods and looking for cool modern as well as other types of architecture that I like. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.